The words came like a knife to his throat, sharp, cold, and final. "You poor thing," she said contemptuously, her lips curling in disdain. "I never loved you. Not even for a minute." For a moment, the sound of her voice hung in the air like broken glass. The living room was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock on the wall. Daniel just stood there, frozen, staring at the woman he had once thought was the center of his world. It was raining outside, the kind of relentless downpour that blurred everything. The windows trembled under the weight of the storm, but inside, it was colder than the rain could ever make it. 1. The calm before the fall. Daniel had always thought love was about endurance. He and Emma had been married for 9 years. Years filled with small joys, shared coffee mugs, late-night laughter, and quiet mornings. Or so he believed. He was a software engineer, patient and quiet, the type who noticed small details, like how she used to hum when she cooked or how her eyes softened when she looked at him. Lately, though, the hum had stopped. Her eyes were distant, her laughter mechanical. She spent longer hours at work, came home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his, and guarded her phone like it contained state secrets. He told himself not to be paranoid. Love required trust, didn't it? But trust, he was beginning to learn, was fragile, like glass. Once cracked, it never looked whole again. To the message. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening when he found it. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, buzzing softly while she showered. The screen lit up, and out of instinct, he glanced over. Last night was unforgettable. Same place tomorrow. The message came from a contact saved simply as M. For a full minute he couldn't breathe. The letters blurred in front of his eyes. His hands trembled and his throat felt dry. He opened the chat. The history was long, too long. Flirty messages, pictures, late-night confessions. Things no husband should ever have to see. And then, the one message that shattered everything. "He's too dull to notice, darling. Don't worry. I'm yours." His mind went blank. That night, Emma came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, smiling faintly. "What's wrong?" she asked when she saw his expression. Daniel didn't answer. He just stared at her, trying to find the woman he once loved behind those calm eyes. "Who's Em?" he finally asked, voice low. Her face froze for a fraction of a second, then softened into an almost practiced frown. "Just a colleague." "Why?" He nodded slowly. "A colleague you call darling. A colleague who says you're his." The color drained from her face, but only for a moment. Then she laughed. Softly, dismissively. "Daniel, you're overreacting. You always do." But he wasn't overreacting. He was breaking. 3. The confrontation. The following weekend, Daniel followed her. She said she was meeting a friend for brunch, but her friend turned out to be a man. Tall, broad-shouldered, the kind who carried arrogance like a badge. Daniel sat in his car across the street, watching as she leaned across the table, laughing in that way she hadn't laughed with him in months. When the man reached for her hand, she didn't pull away. When he kissed her, she didn't resist. The world went silent. His heart didn't shatter all at once. It cracked slowly, piece by piece, until all that was left was a dull, unbearable ache. That night, she came home humming again. The same hum he had once adored. He almost laughed at the cruelty of it. He waited until after dinner. "Where were you today?" he asked. She didn't hesitate. "With Sarah. You can call her if you want." He placed his phone on the table. "Sarah already posted pictures. She's in London." Her fork clattered against the plate. The silence stretched long and heavy. "Emma," he said quietly, "how long has this been going on?" Her eyes flickered, then hardened. "Does it matter?" "Yes," he whispered. "It matters to me." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "Fine. 2 years. Maybe more. Does that satisfy your curiosity?" He stared at her, feeling the weight of each word crush what little hope he had left. "Why?" His voice cracked. "Was I not enough?" She gave a small, bitter laugh. You're kind, Daniel. Reliable. Predictable. But passion. Excitement. You don't even know what those words mean. For the shattered illusion. For the next few weeks, Daniel moved through life like a ghost. He went to work, came home, ate in silence. Emma didn't apologize. She didn't even seem sorry. If anything, she acted freer, like she had been unburdened. He found himself standing in front of the mirror one night, studying his own reflection. Had he truly been that blind? That naive? He remembered their wedding day, her trembling hand in his, her whispered vows. "I'll love you forever." Those words echoed in his head like a cruel joke. One night, he walked into the living room and found her packing. "Are you leaving?" he asked quietly. She didn't look up. "I'm moving out. It's for the best." He swallowed hard. "For the best?" She turned then, her eyes colder than winter. "You poor thing," she said contemptuously. "I never loved you, not even for a minute. I just thought I could." The words didn't pierce him immediately. They lingered, sinking in slowly until the full force of them hit. He wanted to scream, to rage, to throw something, but he didn't. He just stood there, motionless, as she zipped her suitcase and walked out of his life. 5. The silence that follows. Days turned into weeks. The house felt emptier than ever. Her laughter no longer echoed in the halls. Her perfume no longer lingered in the air. But her words stayed. "You poor thing." He started spending his evenings at the park, sitting on the same bench where they had once talked about growing old together. He would watch the sunset, the colors bleeding into the sky, and wonder how love could fade so completely. One evening as he sat there, he noticed a young couple nearby, laughing, fingers intertwined, the kind of careless happiness that only new love brings. He didn't envy them. He pitied them. Because he knew now, love could be a fragile illusion, built on trust that one lie could destroy. 6. The letter. A month later, a letter arrived. No return address, but he recognized the handwriting instantly. "Daniel, I know you probably hate me. Maybe you should. But I wanted you to know, it wasn't about you. It was about me. You were everything right and I was everything wrong. I kept waiting to feel something that never came. I'm sorry I couldn't love you the way you deserved. Emma." He folded the letter carefully, then placed it in a drawer. He didn't cry. There were no tears left. 7. The healing. Healing wasn't sudden. It was slow, quiet, and painful. He started running again, picking up hobbies he'd abandoned long ago. He talked to friends, something he hadn't done in years. He even smiled, genuinely, not out of habit. One night, months later, he stood outside watching the rain fall. It reminded him of the night she left, the night her words carved a wound that almost killed him. But this time the rain didn't feel cold. He realized then that love isn't just about holding on, it's also about letting go. The end and the beginning. Years later, when he looked back, he didn't think of her with anger anymore. Just quiet sadness for what could have been. He'd rebuilt his life, brick by brick, breath by breath. And though he would never forget those words, "You poor thing," they no longer defined him. They had once been the echo of his heartbreak. Now they were just a memory. Of a man who learned the hardest truth of all. That sometimes love doesn't die. It just reveals it was never there to begin with.